Hello everyone, this is part 1 of What If Naruto Uchiha joins the Olympians, and this story is made by YamiNaruto, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
In the hidden village of Leaf, Konohagakure, the ninja was torn apart as the great Kyuubi no Kitsune was attacking on people. It was a powerful demon. A single swing of one of its 9 tails would raise tsunamis and flatten mountains. It used his tails to destroy larger groups and some unlucky ninjas. The ninja's jutsu and weapons seemed to have no effect to him. It raised chaos and had caused the deaths of many, until the leader of Konoha, the Yondaime Hokage, arrived. The Yondaime Hokage is here. A random Junin shouted from out of nowhere, and a giant frog jumped into the battlefield. Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze, was a tall, fair-skinned man. He had bright blue eyes and spiky blonde hair. He was wearing standard Konoha nin uniform with 2 bands each on both of his sleeves, a flak jacket and a forehead protector and sandals. He was wearing standard Konoha nin uniform with 2 bands each on both of his sleeves, a flak jacket and a forehead protector and sandals. He looked at Bundle at Sandaime Hokage hands as he started flying through the hand seals. "Forgive me," he said in sad tone and completed his last hand seal. "Seal," he shouted, and then everything went white. ... 5 years later. "Get back here, you damn demon." Someone from the mob shouted at the small boy. He had bright blonde hair, blue eyes and 3 whiskers like marks on each cheek. His name was Naruto and was running away from an angry mob. Why do they always chase me on my birthday? Why do they call me demon? 5-year-old Naruto thought. He continued to run away, until he reached a dead end. He turned to face his tormentors and let the heaven above to decide his fate. At least, he closed his eyes. "If I die here, I'll be free from the torture." The mob cracked a grin as they approached the boy. Before they could do anything, many human skeletons rose from the ground and started attacking on the mob. People started running away in panic. There were some experienced shinobis in the mob. They realized it was a genjutsu. Someone dispelled genjutsu, but it was too late for them. Naruto was nowhere on the site. 0 in unknown house 0. Naruto felt no pain, so he opened his eyes. He found himself in an unknown room. The room was a large that could easily fit 50 or 60 people. With a large, ornate iron spiral staircase leading up to the 2nd and 3rd floors. The room littered with paintings, vases, sets of armor, and other items from across the known world, each meticulously organized and catalogued. On the right side was a large archway about 1/3 of the way toward the staircase, and past that, a sliding door that easily blended into the wall if you weren't looking for it. Looking around, he saw a large painting on the wall. It was a painting of a young woman wearing a red variant of the Konoha Junin's uniform, and she was the most beautiful being that he had ever seen. She had alabaster skin that contrasted with her long and dark onyx hair, and a vibrant smile that would light up the darkest and stormiest of days. Naruto didn't know why, but for some reason he could not stop the tears that ran down his face as he gazed at the photo. "Who is she?" Naruto thought. "It is your mother's picture. Who are you? Where are you? How? Look behind." He looked behind and saw Raven there. It was bigger than any normal raven in size and had blood-red eyes. "You can talk." It flew above him and landed front of the picture. "It is ninja thing. My name is Karasu." Karasu said. "Is it really my mother's picture?" "Yes, but she is dead." She looked at his sad face. "She loved you. She left you her letter." Naruto looked at the letter. It was beside his mother's picture. "Do you know read and write?" Karasu asked. "Yes, masked men have taught me this." Masked men. Anbu, Karasu thought. Naruto looked at his mother's letter as he unfolded it, noticed that it's dotted with smudges. The smudges he realized were tears. "Dear son, my name is Uchiha Hitomi and your mother. I waited so long just to see you and to hold you in my arms, and now I have taken away from you. I don't know if I did something to anger Kami in my life or some earlier life to have her take me away from you. I hope you can forgive me for not being there. It hurts so much to know that I won't be able to be there for you, to see you grow up, to see you get married, and to see my grandbabies, to not be there for your birthday and to experience everything that you go through with you. I had put so much effort into those training schedules and the jutsus on the scrolls. I was hoping that we could have done them together when you had gotten older, but it seems that you will just have to teach them yourself. It's nearly time for me to go, but before I go, one last piece of advice. You don't have to be in Konoha to be great. I know my share of hardships, so I know what I'm talking about. You don't have to stay, you can explore the world, learn new things, become what to want to become. I know the hardships and suffering that one can endure in life, so son, my one request to you is to live your life to the fullest and never give until the end, even if you have to leave this village to do so. I wanted to tell you many things, but I don't have time. I know you have many questions. Karasu will explain you this entire thing. This is goodbye, my son. I've left my diary along with some of the pictures. Good luck and goodbye, my son. Your mother, Uchiha Hitomi. Naruto looked at Karasu, asked in confusion. My mother's last name was Uchiha, then why my last name is Uzumaki? It was Yondaim's wife's last name. Sandaime Hokage gave this name for you to honor of their sacrifice. Karasu said. Sacrifice? What do you mean? Now or never, Karasu thought. Did you know how Yondaime killed Kyuubi? Naruto nodded. Well, that is lie. Karasu said. She told him the story. And we know the story. How Kyuubi freed by Tobi. Only different is that Minato and Kushina's son was born dead. Kushina died because of Kyuubi extraction. Also trauma she had felt after the death of her only child. I am third Jinchuriki of Kyuubi no Yoko. This is only because that man, Tobi. Naruto said angrily as his whole body surrounded in a thick black chakra. The aura and oppressive weight of his chakra were even more sinister than the Kyuubi. His appearance changed. His hair turned blonde to midnight black. His skin tone became pale white, his nose and facial shape changed. The most shocking thing was his eyes. They had a red 9-point star with a black background in them. Karasu shocked to his new appearance. And imagine 5 years old younger Madara. Karasu looked at him and said, you look just like your mother. Hush. What do you mean? Naruto asked. Look at yourself in a mirror. Naruto walked toward the large mirror that was hanging in the hall. Looking in the mirror, he shocked to see his reflection, specifically his eyes. How? He asked. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sandaime Hokage placed henge seal on you. He had originally expected to use it to have you be praised as a hero to the people, and sadly it didn't work. Karasu said. What about my eyes? This is Mangekyo Sharingan. It is an advanced form of the Sharingan. I will tell you about it later. Do you know how to use chakra? Naruto nodded in agreement. Come with me. I have one question. How turn them off? Naruto asked. Just stop channeling your chakra to your eyes. Karasu said, and she started flying. Naruto cut off the chakra flow to his eyes and they turned to dark blue color. Interesting, he has dark blue eyes. It's not black like Uchiha. Karasu thought. Do you know who my father is? Naruto asked hopefully. No. Master never told me about him. Karasu said. Sorry. Where are we? Is he trying to change the subject? Karasu thought. We are in the Valley of the End, where Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha fought for control of the Konoha village. In this place, Hashirama won battle and Madara believed to have died. We are behind Madara's statue. There is secret door of this place. Karasu said. Now, we are going to meet someone. Who? Your grandfather. Just follow me, you will know very soon. Soon they came front of the large door of the mansion. Naruto opened the door, and entered the room. It was big, made from stone, and had weird symbols drawn on the floor and the wall. Karasu looked at Naruto and said, drop your blood on the seal. Naruto noticed there was largest symbol in center of room. He bit his thumb and dropped some blood on it. Now, channel yours chakra on it. When he did, the seal was lit up with bright light and a white coffin rose from the ground. When the coffin door opened, he saw a tall man. He had long, spiky waist-length black hair with a blue tint. He was wearing a blue suit and gloves with red samurai-like armor. Who is he? Naruto asked in confusion. He is a blood clone of Uchiha Madara, your grandfather. Karasu said. Madara came out of the coffin and looked at Naruto and asked, who are you? His tone was cold. I am. Naruto was too afraid to say anything to him. He is Hitomi's son and your grandson. Karasu said to Madara. My grandson. Madara looked at Naruto. He looks just like me when I was his age. The only difference is our eyes. His eye color is dark blue, while mine is black. Madara thought. What is your name? Madara asked. His tone was now soft. Azu Uchiha Naruto. Naruto said. Where is your mother? Madara asked. Naruto looked down sadly. She is dead, Karasu said. She told him the story. Madara's eyes changed in its eternal Mangekyo Sharingan form. He released a large amount of killing intent. Those lowlifes, weakling. How dare they? If real I would still alive, and then Konoha would nothing but ashes. He had controlled his anger and looked at Naruto with a soft gaze. But I don't have time for them. I am here to train my grandson. He reached out his right hand and put it on Naruto's head. He smiled at him. Are you ready for your training? I am ready, Grandpa. Naruto said as his eyes changed in Mangekyo Sharingan. Mangekyo Sharingan. At this young age, Madara smiled. He is truly my grandson. ... 7 years later, Madara was watching his 12-year-old grandson who was practicing his kata above lake water. That is enough, Naruto. He shouted over his grandson. Naruto stopped practicing and came out from the lake, in front of Madara. You have completed your training, Naruto. There is nothing more I can teach you. Now, this is the time to give you my goodbye gift. Madara said. Naruto looked at his grandfather and asked, what kind gift? You have already given me part of Hashirama Senju power. I am giving you my power. My real eyes. My Sharingan. ... 0 Konoha Academy 0. Alright everyone, again I congratulate you on graduating from the academy. You are now real ninjas of this village and this isn't training anymore. Remember what you learned and you'll be fine. I expect you to do your duties with utmost diligence and not to dishonor your village. From now on you'll be placed into teams of 3 under the tutelage of your Junin sensei. Team 1. Iruka has begun droning as Sasuke's fans waited who among them will end up on his squad. There were a lot of possibilities. Team 7 under Junin Hitaki Kakashi, Haruno Sakura, Uchiha Sasuke. Iruka winced as the little Banshee screamed in victory, and Uzumaki Naruto. ... 0 Valley of the End 0. Naruto stared at the Sasuke. It was silent for a few moments. So then, Dobe, you and me, fighting each other like Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. Sasuke chuckled. Interesting to see that history repeats itself. Naruto scoffed at those words. Except there's one major difference between you and Madara. Madara was an exceedingly calm person and strong. He smirked lightly. You are far from that point. Sasuke scowled at Naruto with anger. Chidori, 1,000 birds, Sasuke yelled. He had his hand covered in lightning as he charged at Naruto who stood there with a bored look. Dai Dobe. The lightning attack was mere inches from his heart when Naruto grabbed his wrist, sent out a chakra burst that stopped the chirping bird's attack. Kakashi never really taught you proper use of assassination techniques, did he? He slammed his knee upwards on Sasuke's elbow, he cried out in pain hearing a crack. He didn't stop as he roundhouse kicked Sasuke in the head and sent him skidding across the water top. He sighed to himself as he walked atop the water, this is the difference in our strength, Sasuke. You are weak. He held his hand and formed a black ball of chakra. Rasengan. ... 0 Konoha Council Room 0. Naruto entered in the council chambers. You wish to speak to me? He asked in a cold tone. This caught several people in the council off guard, especially Tsunade. This was not like the usual loud, hyperactive young ninja, who always wore a smile no matter what happened. What's wrong with you, Naruto? He's not himself, something must have happened. I'll have to ask when we're done here, thought Tsunade. Elder Council member Mitokado Homura answered him. Yes, we summoned you here, he said. The council has finished reading the reports that were given to us by you and your teammates, the Suna team, as well as Rock Lee and your sensei, Hitaki Kakashi's report. Although we're pleased that a mission of this level was successfully completed by a freshly ordained Chunin and a team of 4 genin, we have some concerns about the reports on the battle between you and your teammate Uchiha Sasuke. He continued, peering at Naruto over the rim of his glasses. So, the time has come. What concerns? Naruto asked. What has us concerned is the fact that you used a large amount of the Kyuubi's chakra in your battle, and caused much destruction to the Valley of the End, this time Elder Council member Utatane Koharu said. We have no choice. Uzumaki Naruto, we have to tell you. The council has decided that you shall be banished from Konoha immediately. The Warhawk Danzo said with a scowl as he said the word, banished. He clearly wanted a harsher punishment for the young Jinchuriki. At this Tsunade blew up. You can't do that, you old decrepit fools. The Uchiha tried to kill him. We have a report straight from Kakashi. Tsunade screamed. There is nothing left to discuss, Hokage-sama. The council has made its decision, and it is the last. Daze said with a smirk. Naruto looked at the council and said, you all a bunch idiots. You can't speak with us like that. Yuda, one civilian council member tried to say, but before he could complete this sentence, he killed by kunai in his heart. Everyone saw second Naruto was standing behind dead member with the bloody kunai in his hand and he disappeared with a flock of crows. This caught all people in the council off guard, especially two Sannin. Pathetic Konoha council, Naruto said. They all saw, his whole body surrounded in a thick black chakra. Its aura and oppressive weight were even more sinister than the Kyuubi. They shocked when his look changed. He looks just like younger Madara, all elders thought. I think, it is time to give you my real introduction. I am Uchiha Naruto, the son of Uchiha Hitomi, and true descendant of Uchiha Madara. Naruto said with a smirk. One foolish Anbu tried to attack him, but a Susanoo-O's hand caught him in midair. Foolish, he said as black fire appeared from Susanoo-O's hand, it wrapped around Anbu and turned him ash. Naruto looked toward the council. His eyes changed in its eternal Mangekyo Sharingan form. He released a large amount of killing intent. If Konoha will be ever attacked, then don't hold any hope, I will come help you. With that he disappeared in swirling of the vortex. Shinra Tensei. Deva Path shouted and destroyed a big part of Konoha with his gravity jutsu. You are the six paths of pain, Akatsuki's leader. Naruto said as he appeared behind Deva Path. So, you have come to save your village, but it is too late now. Konoha is nothing but, Deva Path tried to say. You're mistaken, I am not come to save them. Deva Path surprised at his statement. I am here to kill you. He said and his eyes turned purple with rings on them. Deva Path said in a shocked tone, Rinnegan. Naruto pointed his hand toward Deva Path and said calmly, Shinra Tensei. Naruto looked down at his fallen foe that was dying slowly from his wounds. It's over for you, Toby. You have already lost the battle. Toby was looking him with hate and anger. Juubi power will never be yours. Your plan rule on the world has already failed. He looked at Toby with his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. I only pity you. Amaterasu, he said as black fire wrapped around Toby and turned him ash. He disappeared and reappeared front of Gedo Mezzo. Naruto looked toward the statue. It was a giant, humanoid entity. Its back had several spike-like protrusions. It was wearing some form of a robe. So, this is Gedo Mezzo. He said. His Sharingan eyes turned purple with ripple-like pattern in them, the Rinnegan. He gathered all his chakra and poured it all directly into his Rinnegan. He removed his black Anbu armor for exposing the seal on his stomach. He sat down on Gedo Mezzo and brought his hand on the seal. Release, he shouted as the seal on his stomach distorted. Naruto formed a hand seal. Urushisho Fuinjutsu, he called as 4 symbols had formed around him. A spirit like 9 black dragons came out from his body and moved toward Juubi's stone prison, the moon. Chakra started to swirl around his body. Seal, he finished hand seals with dragon sign. He pulled all tail beast chakra and Juubi's body into the seal. With a blast of black chakra it was over. Yondaime Raikage stopped suddenly and snapped his gaze up towards the nearby river. His eyes widened at the levels of chakra he was sensing and quickly turned towards the rest of Alliance force. Everyone gets down. He shouted and the place engulfed in a massive black chakra dome. What is that? Onoki shouted in surprise as it shredded everything it touched and tried to draw them in. I think that's Naruto. Gaara shouted back. A moment later the ball exploded in a massive blast of wind, knocking all of them down. After a moment of silence everyone managed to stand once more, albeit with effort. They looked at the surroundings. They all froze with the fear when they found Black Dragon front of them. They saw he was looking at them with his strange red eyes. His red eyes looked like a perfect mixture between Sharingan and Rinnegan. They had 4 Rinnegan-like rings with 9 Sharingan-like Tomo in them. Suddenly a black portal opened in the sky, dragon flew up there and disappeared in it. What was that? Godai Mizukage? May Terumi asked with slight fear in her voice. We don't know. Yondaime Reikage said. He looked at the surroundings. I think 4th Shinobi War is finally over and we have won this war. He told everyone. What happened with all Biju? Sandaime Chushikage? Onoki asked. And Naruto? May asked. Biju, they're gone forever and Naruto? Gaara looked at the sky. They saw the familiar blackbird followed dragon and entered the portal before portal would close. He is very much alive. ... Naruto's body was floating in endless darkness. Suddenly a lone figure approached to him and held up his unconscious body in the bridal style. You have completed your work here. It is time I take you to your second home, my great-grandson. The figure said to Naruto. Suddenly 2 familiar figures appeared beside him and they were Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Hitomi. Goodbye son, Hitomi kissed on Naruto's forehead. She looked at the figure. Please take care of him grandfather. She asked. I taught you everything I know. This is goodbye. Madara said to Naruto's unconscious body. We also want to give something to him. A voice said from the darkness. They quickly turned and saw 2 figures. First one was a beautiful woman with long raven black hair, rich pink eyes and had creamy colored skin. She dressed in what looked like a white traditional kimono. Second figure was tall, at very least he was 10 feet tall. His body was a rotting sickly gray color with black rune or perhaps seal-like markings over what was visible of his left hand and forearm. Sharp obsidian black nails, onenju, or Japanese prayer beads wrapped around his left hand, wrist. His face resembled a Hanya mask, a pair of horns flowing out of its long spiky white hair, a knife sheathed in its razor-sharp obsidian black fangs, a pair of demonic eyes glaring down at him, the sclera and pupil both a deep obsidian black while the iris was a brilliant golden color, and a long white robe the only thing covering its body, yet left his chest and some of his navel in full view. Kami-sama, Shinigami-sama, Madara asked, what are you 2 doing here? We are here to meet the child of prophecy. Shinigami said. Kami walked next toward Naruto. She looked at Naruto's face and said, he is cute. She opened her hand and summoned a small white ball of light. She sent it toward Naruto. It absorbed in him and small purple color diamond mark appeared on his forehead. What is this? Hitomi asked as she pointed diamond mark in Naruto's forehead. My gift, he has darkness power, it is the light power from me. This will help him to balance his power. Kami answered and disappeared in a flash. Now my gift, Shinigami raised his hand on air. With flash, black katana appeared in his hand. Then it turned into a black ball of light. It absorbed in Naruto and kanji of dead, appeared on his left shoulder. Use my gift wisely, he said and disappeared in black flash. Mysterious figure looked at Madara and Hitomi. This is time to go, he said. Both of them nodded and disappeared in darkness. He looked Naruto with a smile and disappeared in flash with him. Naruto slowly opened his eyes and looked around the place. He found himself in a small apartment. Where am I? He thought. Karasu-chan, where are you? He asked telepathically. I am here, Master Naruto. Karasu answered as she entered the room from the window. Where are we? Naruto asked. We are not in Element Nation and I think we are in another dimension. Karasu said. He noticed a scroll addressed to him and asked, what is this? Dear Naruto, I am your great-grandfather. As for my name you will know very soon. I am still alive. Don't worry though, we will meet in time. When the time comes, I will be happy to see you. Also, in your journey, you will meet your other family. You notice you are not in Element Nation. You are in a different dimension. It is your second home. You are in a place called the United States, more specifically New York City, New York. There is another thing you noticed about yourself. If you haven't noticed, then look at yourself in a mirror. There are some changes in your because of Juubi. There is a seal at the bottom of the scroll. You will find all that you need in this world and that includes money. Also, there is some important information about your gift. Oh, just for a reference for the future, get a book on Greek mythology, you will need that info, trust me. Be careful my great-grandson. One more thing, visit your inner world. You will get all answer of your question there. Your great-grandfather. Naruto looked at Karasu. Karasu-chan, is anything different about me? He asked. I thought you knew. Karasu answered. What do you mean? Look at yourself in a mirror. Naruto stood up and moved toward front of a mirror in the apartment. He notices short fangs in his mouth, and slightly slitted pupils in his eyes. He saw small purple-colored diamond mark on his forehead and kanji of dead in his left shoulder. He looked like his 10-year-old younger selves. What is this? Is some kind seal? Naruto thought and sent small chakra in left shoulder. With black flash, katana appeared in his left hand. He started to check katana. It was totally black, the sharp and given aura of the dead. More important things were kanji of Shinigami written on the main blade, and black dragon with strange red eyes on the katana's handle. Interesting, Karasu said. And deadly, Naruto said, and katana disappeared with black flash. He took the letter and dropped some blood on a seal. With puff smoke many scrolls appeared. What really caught his attention was black bracelet. He took the bracelet and looked closely at it. It was in black color with golden design and some words written on it. All words were written in an unfamiliar language by gold. Deni parche tirpota kalo, tirpota kako. Mono sementico aniata, iserapia. Which language is it? He thought. Suddenly he saw words started to arrange in familiar language. There is nothing good, nothing bad, only important is balance. Okay, that is weird. Naruto thought. He took the bracelet and wore it on his left bicep. What now? Karasu asked. Naruto sat down for meditation and said, I am going to find my answer. He closed his eyes. Zero mindscape zero. It has really changed. Naruto said. Naruto saw his mindscape. It was nothing looks like a sewer. It was a deep forest with the strange moon. The moon was a blood red and had 4 concentric circles and 9 tomo in it. He looked around and found Black Dragon who had looked at him with his red eyes. His entire upper body covered in black scales, which decorated by spiraling, blue markings. Its lower body, specifically its belly, inner tail and legs were gray in color. It has possessed a blunt, rounded head with 4 large and elongated plates which extended backwards. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth, and below it was an elongated protrusion pointing downwards. It was gargantuan, multi-layered wings composed of the very same plates covering its whole body. Its massive tail was split in 2 at its end, where the black plates disappeared and took on a double stinger-like appearance. His eyes looked like mixture between Sharingan and Rinnegan. They had 4 Rinnegan-like concentric circles with 9 Sharingan-like tomo in the 3 circles closer to the pupil color was red. Naruto's eyes turned into an eternal Mangekyo Sharingan form. Who are you? He asked. Dragon heard this and answered his question answer. I am the manifestation of power which has existed in your body. I am the result of your and Juubi demonic power. Juubi was the harbinger of death and chaos. I am the deity of balance. What now? I am you. We are not different. You know what to do. Yes, I know, Naruto said and touched dragon scale. The dragon turned in a million shards of black energy. All energy entered his body. Zero real world zero. Naruto opened his exactly looked like the dragon's eyes. Juubi's eye. ... Zero Yansei Academy 0. Hello, may I have your attention please? Before we begin today I would like to introduce a new student that would be joining us, please greet him warmly. A woman spoke to her class as they all quieted down when she began speaking. None of them wanted to get detention or be assigned extra homework over the weekend. Seeing that all her students were giving her their undivided attention, she turned toward the door at the front of the room. You may come in now. With that 13-year-old teen entered the room walking toward the teacher's desk before facing all his new fellow classmates. He was tall at least 5 feet 4 inches. He had pale skin with spicy, midnight black hair, and dark eyes. He wore a pair of black shoes, black jeans, white shirt, and a black coat with hood. Hello everyone, my name is Naruto Uchiha. It has been 3.5 years since Naruto arrived in this new land. Learning a new language had been surprisingly easy to him with his Sharingan. For him this world was more peaceful and advanced than Element Nation. This peace was boring, but it wasn't mean. He was going to slack off because of peace. He had trained every day to improve his skills. This was not all bad for him. He had met 2 interesting people in school. First was Percy Jackson. He was 12 and had black hair and sea green eyes. He had an odd energy, signature. Percy hated school. His reason was that weird shit happened to him and that made a lot of people disliked him. 2 of them get along very well. Then there was Grover Underwood. Through Percy, Naruto had met that boy. Grover had Caucasian skin color with short curly brown hair and brown eyes. The boy was a cripple because he was always seen with crutches. He was also a bit of a hippie, he thought, because of the fact that he barely ever ate meat and by the way he dressed. Though all in all, Grover was a very nice guy. Naruto heightened sense. Grover smelled like a goat while Percy strangely smelled like the ocean. Now, they were on a bus to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They were taking a trip to learn about Greek mythology. Percy was wearing for today an orange shirt, blue jeans, and some black shoes. Grover, who was sitting right next to Percy, had his usual crutches, a yellow shirt and some oversized pants on that hid his shoes. As for Naruto, he was wearing a pair of black shoes, black jeans, white shirt, and a black coat with hood. Naruto looked at scene that was happening front of him. One of his classmates, Nancy Bobofit, the freckle, red-headed kleptomaniac girl, hitting Grover in the back of the head with chunks of peanut butter and ketchup sandwich, who was acting like nothing was happening to him. I'm going to kill her, Percy mumbled. Grover tried to calm him down. It's okay. I like peanut butter. He dodged another piece of Nancy's lunch. That's it. Percy started to get up, but Grover pulled him back to his seat. You're already on probation, Grover said. You know who'll get blamed if anything happens. Miss Bobofit, Naruto said, who thought it was right time to interface. Will you stop that? Why you care? You are not like those two losers, so why do you bother to help them? Nancy asked. Because they are better people than you are, Naruto said in a cold tone that sent chills down the girl's spine. Now stop or I will stop you. She paled and quickly nodded her head. Mr. Brunner led the museum tour. He was Latin teacher and was leading this trip. He was a middle-aged guy in a motorized wheelchair. He had thinning hair and a scruffy beard and a frayed tweed jacket, which always smelled like coffee. He rode up front in his wheelchair, guiding class through the big echoey galleries, past marble statues and glass cases full of really old black and orange pottery. The class made their way into the museum as they walked past the giant pillars at the front of the museum, and Naruto couldn't help but notice how much Mr. Brunner and surprisingly Grover's face lit up when they saw all the Greek and Roman artifacts. Naruto looked at Percy, who was looking at some old stuff that was in good condition. Interesting, isn't it? Naruto asked to Percy. Percy turned back and saw Naruto. Huh. Yes, he answered. This stuff is really old, but it is important. Percy looked at Naruto oddly before shaking his head and said, I always forget that you like this stuff. I mean Greek mythology. Whatever. Naruto shrugged as they walked with the group to where Mr. Brunner had stopped. Besides, Mr. Brunner is under the assumption that we should both understand it all. Percy just rolled his eyes. They turned their attention to Mr. Brunner. They went quiet, listened to the guy tell them about the ancient gods and other stuff like that. He gathered all the students around a 13-foot tall stone column with a big sphinx at the top, and started telling everyone how it was a grave marker, a stele, for a girl about their age. Mr. Brunner began to explain what the carvings on the sides meant and actually managed to catch Percy's attention because it was actually kind of interesting, but yet everyone else around him was talking and having their own conversations. Naruto looked at the other teacher chaperone, Miss Dodds, was giving Percy the evil eye. She was this little math teacher from Georgia who always wore a black leather jacket, even though she was 50 years old. She had come to Yancy halfway through the year. From her first day, Miss Dodds loved Nancy Bobofit. Her energy was odd. It is better I keep an eye on her, Naruto thought. Mr. Brunner kept talking about Greek funeral art. Finally, Nancy Bobofit snickered something about the naked guy on the stele, and Percy yelled at her, "Will you shut up?" This was louder than usual. The whole group laughed at this. Mr. Brunner stopped his story. Mr. Jackson, he said, did you have a comment? No, sir, Percy replied, embarrassed by his outburst. Mr. Brunner pointed to one of the pictures on the stele. Perhaps you'll tell us what this picture represents, he asked to Percy. Percy looked at the picture and said, that's Kronos eating his kids, right? Yes, Mr. Brunner said, obviously not satisfied. And he did this because. Well, Percy said, Kronos was the king god, and God. Mr. Brunner asked. Titan, Percy corrected himself. And Naruto saw Percy have a hard time answering that question. So he decided to intervene. He ate his kid because there was some prophecy telling him that his kids were going to take over one day like he did. So he ate his kids. Naruto explained, getting a sigh of relief from Percy. But his wife hid baby Zeus, and gave Rondos a rock to eat instead. Then when Zeus grew up, he tricked his dad, Rondos, into barfing up his brothers and sisters. Ew. All the girls behind them said. Then there was a big fight and the gods won. Naruto continued and finished the answer, getting a nod of approval from Mr. Brunner. Behind the two, everyone heard a Nancy Bobofit mumble, like we're going to use this in real life. Like it's going to say on our job applications, please explain why Kronos ate his kids. And why, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Uchiha, Mr. Brunner said, do you have any answer for Miss Bobofit's excellent question? Does this matter in real life? Quote. Busted, Grover muttered. Shut up. Nancy barked at Grover, her face going redder than her hair. I don't know, Percy shrugged, a little relieved that Nancy picked as well. Maybe if we somehow met them, it is necessary for us to know them, Naruto said with a smirk, which made a lot of people laugh. He saw shocked faces of Mr. Brunner and surprisingly Grover. Do they know something I don't? I bet those two know something which related to Greek gods, Naruto thought and narrowed his at them. I see, Mr. Brunner said, well, half credit to you both. Zeus did feed Kronos a mixture of mustard and wine, which made him disgorge his other 5 children, who of course, being immortal gods, had lived and growing up completely undigested in the Titan's stomach. The gods defeated their father, sliced him to pieces with his own scythe, and scattered his remains in Tartarus, the darkest part of the underworld. On that happy note, it's time for lunch. Miss Dodds, would you lead us back outside? The class drifted off, the girls holding their stomachs, the guys pushing each other around and acting like doofuses. Grover, Percy and Naruto were about to follow when Mr. Brunner said, Mr. Jackson, Mr. Uchiha. They told Grover to keep one going while they handled whatever he was going to say to them. Sir, Mr. Brunner had this look, like he knew a lot more than he let on and that had seen too much. You two must learn the answer to my question. About the Titans, Percy asked. About real life, and how your studies apply to it. Oh, Percy mumbled. What you boys learn from me, he started, is vitally important. I expect you to treat it as such. I will only accept the best from both of you, Percy Jackson, Naruto Uchiha. Naruto had sensed Percy's anger on the Mr. Brunner, so decided to answer his question. It is great, he said. Percy mumbled something about trying and they left to go eat. Percy goes ahead, I will meet you later, Naruto said. Where are you going? Percy asked. Some personal work, Naruto said. Percy nodded and walked away. Naruto saw no one was there and he disappeared into a swirling vortex. Percy joined Grover and they sat on the edge of a fountain. It was away from the others so they would not be bothered and Percy didn't like being part of the school in the first place. You get detention again? Grover asked looking at Percy. Nah, he said. Not from Brunner. I just wish he'd laid off me sometimes. I mean, I'm not a genius like Naruto. This thing they don't know their friend, he got best grade in the entire subject. He was good at all sports. Then what was he doing in lower class? So, where is he? Grover asked. He is doing his personal work, Percy answered. What kinds of personal work? I didn't ask him. Okay, Grover said shrugging. Can I have your apple? Percy nodded and gave him an apple. They began to chat quietly about the trip and what they might be doing over the summer when Nancy Bobofit walked up to them with some of her goons behind and decided to dump her lunch onto Grover. Oops, she said grinning with bits of cat stuck in her crooked teeth. Percy was angry and jumped and looked like he was about to hit her before Grover quickly grabbed and sat him back down. Don't. You will just get yourself into more trouble like you always do, Grover said. Percy, who did not look very convinced, sat back down but his eyes didn't look away from Nancy Bobofit. Then something weird happened. The water from the fountain rose up and pushed her onto her butt. She fell into the water fountain making a loud and audible splash which caught the attention of everyone including the teachers with Miss Dodds making her way over. Miss Dodds, Percy just pushed me. She yelled. Percy heard some of the kids were whispering. Did you see? The water. Like it grabbed her. What they were talking about. All I knew was that I was in trouble again. When Miss Dodds was sure poor little Nancy was okay, promising to get her a new shirt at the museum gift shop, etc., etc. Percy thought. Miss Dodds turned on him and said, Now, honey. I know, he said, a month erasing workbooks. Come with me, Miss Dodds said. Wait, Grover yelped. It was me. I pushed her. Percy stunned that Grover was trying to cover for him. However, Miss Dodds was not buying it and she leads Percy away back inside the museum where Percy was most likely going to get another scolding and another detention. They were back in the Greek and Roman section. Except for them, the gallery was empty. Miss Dodds stood with her arms crossed in front of a big marble frieze of the Greek gods. She was making this weird noise in her throat, like growling. You've given us problems, honey, she said to Percy. He looked at her and said, yes, ma'am. She tugged on the cuffs of her leather jacket. Did you really think you would get away with it? The look in her eyes was beyond mad. It was evil. She's a teacher, he thought nervously. It's not like she's going to hurt me. I'll try harder, ma'am. Suddenly, thunder shook the building. We are not fools, Percy Jackson, she said. It was only a matter of time before we found you out. Confess, and you will suffer less pain. This made Percy look her odd. Well, ma'am, I don't. Your time is up, she said and hissed ominously. Then the weirdness came. Her eyes began to glow like barbecue coals. Her fingers stretched, turning into talons. Her jacket melted into large, leathery wings. She wasn't human. She was a shriveled hag with bat wings and claws and a mouthful of yellow fangs. She was not human, that was for sure. Miss Dodds. Whoa. Percy saw his teacher turned monster. Where is it? She asked and tried to attack on him, but somehow he dodged her. He tried to run away from her. I won't ask again. Where is it? What the hell is she talking about? Percy thought to himself. He brought out of his thoughts when he heard the screeching of wheels get closer to him. He looked over. He was surprised to see Mr. Brunner there in his wheelchair. What ho, Percy? Mr. Brunner shouted, and threw an item to him. Percy looked down to see what he caught and saw that he had a gold ballpoint pen in his hand. What the hell am I supposed to do with a pen? He shouted. Percy did not know what to do. So he decided to twist the cap of the pen. Then pen suddenly became a bronze sword. Whoa, he said. Percy attacked shakily toward Miss Dodds. He simply swung the blade diagonally, hoping to wound her, but she dodged his attack and before he could react, she hit him in his chest. This sent him toward the wall. Die, honey. Miss Dodds yelled as she spread out her wings and began to flap over towards him. Absolute terror ran through Percy's body. He closed his eyes, but when he felt no pain, he opened his eyes. Ha! He saw, a black blade was sticking out of the Miss Dodds' chest and its handle was held by Naruto. Naruto yanked out katana of Miss Dodds' chest and she exploded into yellow powder, vaporized on the spot, leaving nothing but the smell of sulfur. Are you all right? Naruto asked. His sword disappeared in black flash. Yes. When Percy tried to stand up on his feet, sharp pain emerged from his chest. I think she broke my rib. This will help you, Naruto said as he put his hand on Percy's chest. His hand started glowing in green and Percy found that his pain was becoming less. How? I will explain you later, Naruto said as he saw Percy's sword. By the way, this is a nice weapon. Now I know why people said that the pen is mightier than the sword. Percy looked back to his weapon and found his sword turned back in gold ballpoint pen. Where did you get this pen? Naruto asked. From Mr. Brunner, Percy answered. So, Mr. Brunner gave this pen to Percy. Let's go, Percy. I don't want to explain anyone about this mess, Naruto said. Back outside, it had started to rain. Grover was sitting by the fountain, a museum map tented over his head. Nancy Bobofit was still standing there, soaked from her swim in the fountain, grumbling to her ugly friends. When she saw me, she said, I hope Miss Kerr whipped your butt. Who? Percy asked in confusion. Our teacher, duh. We have no teacher whose name is Miss Kerr. Percy thought. He wanted to ask Nancy what she was talking about. She just rolled her eyes and turned away. He walked over to Grover and he gave him the same answer, but he was stuttering slightly, so Percy knew he was lying. Thunder boomed overhead. Percy saw Mr. Brunner sat under his red umbrella, reading his book, as if he'd never moved. He looked up, a little distracted. Ah, that would be my pen. Please bring your own writing utensil in the future, Mr. Jackson, he said. Percy handed his pen. Sir, he said, where's Miss Dodds? Mr. Brunner stared at him blankly. Who? The other chaperone, Miss Dodds. The pre-algebra teacher. Percy, there is no Miss Dodds on this trip. As far as I know, there has never been a Miss Dodds at Yancy Academy. Are you feeling all right? What? You may have just got the Miss Kerr's name mixed up with someone else, perhaps an old teacher from a previous school, Mr. Brunner said before wheeling off. Percy just sighed. Let's go, Naruto, he sighed and turned back. He saw Naruto was not there. Now, where is he? I thought, he was behind me, had I imagined the whole thing. Percy though. Naruto was standing on top of the museum and had a raven on his left shoulder. What do you think, Karasu-chan? Naruto asked. Someone has erased their memories. Karasu said. Only me, you, Percy, Gova and Mr. Brunner remembers her. Percy saw you using your power. Why you haven't erased his memory? Because I have felt that something big is going to happen and Percy will be a big part of this. Both of them looked at Percy. This world is not boring, as I thought. I think this is the start of our new adventure. He said and both of them vanished in swirling vortex. After that incident everything was normal in school, but for Percy it was not. For the rest of the year he was a bit put off by the revelation that Miss Dodds never existed. In her place was a perky blonde woman's name Mrs. Kerr. Every so often Percy would spring a Miss Dodds reference on someone, just to see if he could trip 'em up, but they would stare at him like he was psycho. He had almost believed them, but Grover couldn't fool him. When he mentioned the name Dodds to him, he would always hesitate before denying it. But Percy knew he was lying. Naruto hadn't cared about all these things, because this wasn't the first time something weird had happened with him. But he knows something was going on. Because a few days later, the biggest tornado ever spotted in the Hudson Valley touched down only 50 miles from Yancey Academy. One of the current events was the unusual number of small planes that had gone down in sudden squalls in the Atlantic this year. His next problem was Percy. Naruto explained Percy about his power. He told him about different dimension, ninja, chakra, etc. He told Percy truth half truth. At the first time Percy hadn't believed in him. But once Naruto used Shadow Clone Jutsu and made many copies of him, Percy believed in him. Percy started feeling cranky and irritable most of the time. His grades slipped from D to F. He got into more fights with Nancy Bobofit and her friends. He sent out into the hallway in almost every class. Though Percy got in trouble, when his English teacher, Mr. Nickel, asked him for the millionth time why he was too lazy to study for spelling tests, he snapped. He called him an old sot, whatever that meant. Headmaster sent a letter his mom telling her that Percy would not be allowed back next year. Naruto could tell Percy missed his mom because he hated that fact that she was with Gabe of all people. The kid was homesick, no surprise there. Right now the two were in the dorm room trying their best to study for the upcoming exam. Throughout the night, Naruto could see that Percy was getting more and more agitated. This is impossible, Percy said as he threw his book across the room. I can't understand it. Naruto said, keep trying Percy. You'll get it, evenly. Thanks for the support, Naruto, Percy said and picked up the book. What is problematic, Percy? What is the difference between Chiron and Charon? Simple, one has an I and the other has an A in their name. You know what I mean. Why don't you ask Mr. Brunner for help? I'm sure he will help you. Yeah, okay, thanks, Percy said getting up from the desk and Naruto was following him. They walked downstairs to the faculty offices. Most of them were dark and empty, but Mr. Brunner's door was ajar, light from his window stretching across the hallway floor. They were 3 steps from the door handle when they heard voices inside the office. Mr. Brunner asked a question. A voice that was definitely Grover's said. Worried about Percy and Naruto, sir. They leaned slightly to hear their conversation. Quote. Alone this summer, Grover was saying. I mean, a kindly one in the school. Now that we know, and they know too. We would only make matters worse by rushing him, Mr. Brunner said. We need Percy to mature more and Naruto, there is something different about him. So he is suspicious of me, Naruto thought. We have to be resolved without them, Grover. Let Percy enjoy his ignorance while he still can, but, I am not sure about Naruto. But Percy, his imagination, Mr. Brunner insisted. The mist over the students and staff will be enough to convince him of that. Mist. Is it some kind illusion? Naruto thought. Sir, I can't fail in my duties again. Grover's voice choked with emotion. You know what that would mean. You haven't failed, Grover, Mr. Brunner said kindly. I should have seen her for what she was. Now let's just worry about keeping him alive until next fall. Suddenly, The mythology book dropped out of Percy's hand and hit the floor with a thud. His eyes widened in panic as all went silent. Idiot, Naruto thought before he quickly grabbed Percy's arms and book. He led both of them away from the room. Mr. Brunner came out of the office and saw nothing. Nothing, he murmured. My nerves haven't been right since the winter solstice. Mine neither, Grover said. But I could have sworn. Go back to the dorm, Mr. Brunner said. You've got a long day of exams tomorrow. Govan said, don't remind me. Mr. Brunner went back to the office and closed the door. I thought it was Percy, he murmured. Suddenly, office light went off. What happened with light? Mr. Brunner thought. Interesting, a voice said from the dark. Mr. Brunner turned his head in the voice's direction. Who is there? He asked. Then a dark figure came out of the darkness in front of him. Mr. Brunner shook his head in disbelief and said, Naruto. He saw Naruto, whose normally dark blue eyes were red with 3 black tomo spinning inside them. Hello Mr. Brunner, care to tell me what's going on here? Naruto asked calmly. Naruto suddenly appeared front of him. And don't try to lie to me, he said. Mr. Brunner sighed. He took a card from pocket and gave it to Naruto. Naruto took a card from his hand. He saw it was written in the Greek and thankfully he knew Greek. Half-Blood Camp. Half-Blood Hill, Long Island, New York. 800-009-0009. It was some kind address of the summer camp. What is this? A summer camp? Naruto asked. Mr. Brunner said, this is the place where you'll get your all questions answers. It better be true. Oh, one more thing, illusion doesn't work on me and you are not what you look like. He said with a smirk. Bye Mr. C. Mr. Brunner froze. What? How? He asked, but he only saw Naruto disappeared with a flock of crow. So he is from that world, Mr. Brunner thought. Grover walked in to see Percy and Naruto reading their textbooks with Percy sitting at a desk while Naruto was lying on the bed, studying his exam notes. Hey, Grover said, bleary-eyed. Are you ready for the test? I'm ready, Naruto said with looking at him. Percy didn't answer. You look awful, Grover said to Percy. Is everything okay? Just tired, Percy said and turned so Grover couldn't read his expression, and started getting ready for bed. The next afternoon, both Percy and Naruto were leaving the 3-hour Latin exam. That was not bad, Naruto said. Only for you Naruto, for me it was worst. Ugh, my eyes are swimming with all the Greek and Roman names that I misspelled. Percy complained as he held his head. Unfortunately, Mr. Brunner called him back inside. For a moment, Percy was worried he'd found out about his and Naruto's eavesdropping the night before, but that didn't seem to be the problem. Percy, Mr. Brunner said in a kind tone. Don't be discouraged about leaving Yancy. It's for the best. Is he encouraging him or trying to break his spirit? Naruto thought. Percy mumbled, okay, sir. I mean, Mr. Brunner wheeled his chair back and forth, like he wasn't sure what to say. This isn't the right place for you. It was only a matter of time. Right, Percy said with a slightly angry voice. No, Mr. Brunner said. Oh, confound it all. What I'm trying to say, you're not normal, Percy. That's nothing to be. Thanks, Percy blurted. Thanks a lot, sir, for reminding me. Percy, Mr. Brunner called out, but Percy was already out the door. Take my advice, Mr. Brunner. Always think before you speak, Naruto said as he walked out of the room. 0 on the last day of term 0. On the last day of the term, Percy shoved his clothes into his suitcase. He was listening to the other guys. They were talking about their vacation plans. One of them was going on a hiking trip to Switzerland. Another was cruising the Caribbean for a month. One of them asked him what he was doing this summer. I am going back to the city, Percy said. Oh, one of the guys said. That's cool. They went back to their conversation as if he was never existed. Percy, I thought I was coming with you, Naruto said, scaring Percy since he did know he was behind him. When did you get here? Percy asked. Just a few minutes ago, Naruto answered. Oh, Percy said. Sorry, I forgot you were coming with me. No problem, Percy, Naruto said, let's go. Percy was dreading how he was going to say goodbye to Grover, but as it turned out, he didn't have to. Grover did book a ticket to Manhattan on the same Greyhound as they had, so they were together again, heading into the city. During the bus ride, Grover kept glancing nervously down the aisle, watching the other passengers. It occurred to Percy that he'd always acted nervous and fidgety when they left Yancy, as if he expected something bad to happen. Though Percy was getting annoyed by it and he blurted out, looking for kindly ones. Grover nearly jumped out of his seat. What do you mean? They boy confessed about eavesdropping on his and Mr. Brunner's conversation the night before the exams. Grover's eye twitched. How much did both of you hear? Oh, not much. What's the summer solstice deadline? Naruto asked. Grover winced. Look, Percy. Naruto. I was just worried for you, Percy. See. I mean, you were hallucinating about demon math teachers. Percy said. Grover. And I was telling Mr. Brunner that maybe you were overstressed or something, because there was no such person as Mrs. Dodds, and. Grover, you're a really bad liar, Naruto said. Grover's ears turned pink. From his shirt pocket, he fished out a grubby business card. Just take this, okay? In case you need me this summer. Both boys looked at the card. The card was in fancy script, which murdered in Percy's dyslexic eyes, but he finally made out something like Grover Underwood, Keeper, Half-Blood Hill, Long Island, New York. 800-009-0009. This is same address Mr. Brunner gave me, Naruto thought. What's half? Percy started. Don't say it aloud. Grover yelped. That's mine, summer address. Percy shocked. Even Grover had a summer home. I'd never considered that his family might be as rich as the others at Yancy, he thought. Okay, Percy said glumly. So, like, if I want to come visit your mansion. Grover nodded. Or if you need me. Why would I need you? Percy growled out harshly, surprising even Naruto. Grover blushed. Look, Percy, the truth is, I kind of have to protect both of you. Both boys look at him oddly. I mean, they were the one who had to protect him in the school. Grover, Percy said, what exactly are you protecting me from? There was a huge grinding noise under our feet. Black smoke poured from the dashboard and the bus filled with a smell like rotten eggs. The driver cursed and limped the Greyhound over to the side of the highway. After a few minutes clanking around in the engine compartment, the driver announced, everyone out. Trio filed outside with everybody else. They were on a stretch of country road. On the highway was nothing but maple trees and litter from passing cars. Hey, what was that? Percy said, getting Naruto's attention. Percy pointed over to the side of the road and Naruto saw what looked like an old fruit stand. The stuff on sale looked really good, heaping boxes of blood-red cherries and apples, walnuts and apricots, jugs of cider in a clawfoot tub full of ice. There were no customers, just 3 old women sitting in rocking chairs in the shade of a maple tree, knitting the biggest pair of socks. The woman on the right knitted one of them. The woman on the left knitted the other. The woman in the middle held an enormous basket of electric blue yarn. All 3 women looked ancient, with pale faces wrinkled like fruit leather, silver hair tied back in white bandana, bony arms sticking out of bleached cotton dresses. The weirdest thing was they seemed to be looking right at Percy. Why they're looking at Percy? Naruto thought. He saw Grover's nose was twitching. Grover, Percy said. Hey, man. Grover asked Percy, tell me they're not looking at you. They are, aren't they? Yeah, weird, huh? You think those socks would fit me? Not funny, Percy. Not funny at all. The old woman in the middle took out a huge pair of scissors, gold and silver, long-bladed, like shears. Grover catches his breath. We're getting on the bus, he told them. Come on. What? Percy said. It's 1,000 degrees in there. Let's go, Percy, Naruto said. Percy surprised at that. What? He asked. Naruto said, only this time do it, just like he said. Because after that he will have to give us some explanation. Then he narrowed his eyes as he looked at Grover. Am I right? Grover saw his cold eyes, he paled and nodded immediately. Grover opened the door and climbed inside, but Percy and Naruto stayed back for a bit. Across the road, the old women were still watching Percy. The middle one cut the yarn, which they could hear that snip across 4 lanes of traffic. Her 2 friends balled up the electric blue socks, leaving Percy wondering who they could be for, Sasquatch or Godzilla. Naruto rolled his eyes and climbed in the bus. At the rear of the bus, the driver wrenched a big chunk of smoking metal out of the engine compartment. The bus shuddered, and the engine roared back to life. The passengers cheered. Darn right, yelled the driver. He slapped the bus with his hat. Everybody back on board. Once they got going, Percy started feeling feverish, as if he did catch the flu. Grover didn't look much better. He was shivering and his teeth were chattering. And Naruto, he was normal. Percy asked, Grover. Yeah, tell us. Grover dabbed his forehead with his shirt sleeve. Percy and Naruto, what did you see back on the fruit stand? You mean the old women? What is it about them, man? They're not like Mrs. Dodds, are they? Percy asked. Grover's expression was hard to read, but they got the feeling that the fruit stand women was something much, much worse than Mrs. Dodds. Grover said, just tell me what you saw. Naruto said, the middle one took out her scissors, and she cut the yarn. Grover closed his eyes and made a gesture with his fingers and said, you two saw her snip the cord. Yeah. So. Percy said. This is not happening, Grover mumbled. He started chewing at his thumb. I didn't want this to be like the last time. What last time? Naruto asked. Always 6th grade. They never get past 6th. Grover, Percy said, because Grover was really starting to scare him. What are you talking about? Let me walk with both of you. Promise me, Grover said. Is this like a superstition or something? Percy asked. No, answered Grover, that snipping of the yarn. Does that mean somebody is going to die? He asked. Interesting, Naruto thought and looked away from Grover, who looked like he was already picking the kind of flowers to the grave. This is becoming more and more interesting. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.